Welcome to our webinar, ladies. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Denise Connor, and I am the Surrogate Support Manager for Family Source Consultants. And I'm also a one-time surrogate myself. I delivered a baby girl for a local couple back in 2013. Joining me today are a few experienced FSC surrogates to help answer some questions about their experiences of being a surrogate. Today, we'll be talking about all the support options that are available when you become a surrogate with Family Source Consultants. It's totally up to you how much you participate in any of the support options that we provide. We understand and respect that each surrogate has individual needs. Some may enjoy a lot of contact with other surrogates, others don't really need or want this type of support. We'll be there as often or as little as you're comfortable with. I want to begin with some introductions. If you could each tell us your name and where you are in your surrogacy journey. I am going to start with Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine Kwashnick, and I am in the Minneapolis area in Minnesota. And I actually have been through 2 rounds of surrogacy. I delivered a beautiful baby boy back in December of 2019. And then I delivered a beautiful little girl in January of 2022. So I am just over 5 months past that. And I loved my journeys and can't wait to talk more about them.
Excellent, thank you. Delana?
Hello, I'm Delana. I'm from Illinois, and I just completed surrogacy, delivered a baby boy in February of 2022.
Thank you for joining us, Delana. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so this is my second journey that I'm on right now. I delivered baby girl in October of 2020 amidst the pandemic. And right now I am on my second journey with a new couple that's local. And so, yeah, we're just kind of progressing forward now.
Excellent. And you have something exciting happening this week, don't you?
Oh, yes. We have a transfer on Friday. So this is actually
Yay, very excited for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Fingers crossed. So let's talk about why, I will go first, why we all decided to become a surrogate in the first place. I had some trouble getting pregnant myself and needed some additional help from the fertility world. And after my girls were about 3 years old, I have twin girls that are 12. I decided that I would love to be pregnant again, but wasn't really into taking any more babies home. So I thought the best way for me to give back to this community of incredible people that helped me was to give back and have a baby for somebody else. So I signed on with Family Source. I had a fantastic journey. I couldn't have picked a better couple for myself if I tried. Delivered a beautiful baby girl. I can't believe she is gonna be 9 and she's like a softball rock star and she loves dinosaurs. Like she's like the coolest little girl ever. And so very blessed to have such a great journey. After I delivered, very quickly after I delivered is when I was approached to start our support groups. And I've been doing that ever since. And I've had such a great time getting to learn about the whole process and making some tremendous friends along the way. I like to joke that at least half of my friends, if not more, are all former surrogates. So it's just the way it goes. It's a special little sisterhood that I love and I'm so grateful to be a part of. So Catherine, why don't you tell us what enticed you to sign up as a surrogate?
Yeah, similar, only I was very blessed. I did not have any issues getting pregnant on my own. So I had one little boy and then we wanted to have another child and ended up with twins the second time. Completely accidental, I don't know, unplanned, whatever you want to call it. So we had more than we had planned on, but I still really liked being pregnant. My pregnancies went extremely smoothly. Sorry if my computer just froze for a second. So I wanted to I wanted to get pregnant again, but had no interest in having more of my own. So my husband signed on to allowing me to become a surrogate. It was something I always wanted to do. I don't even know why it was in my head. I don't know what inspired me to do it, but I am so glad that I looked into it and had the opportunity to do it once for a couple in California, and then it was so wonderful that I had to do it again for a couple out of Mexico. So I had both a domestic and an international experience. Both were absolutely incredible thanks to the support that I received with Family Source.
Excellent. Delana, tell us about your experience.
Yeah, well, when I was in college, I had a friend who knew that if she ever wanted to be a parent, she would need to conceive through another form, through surrogacy or through adoption. And it just really kind of placed it in my mind that, oh, I wish I could carry a child for her. So I just kind of had that in the back of my mind. And a couple of years ago, I was at a family party and met a surrogate who was with FSC, and she told me all about it. And then I was very intrigued and signed up, and that's how I was introduced to the process.
Awesome. Sol, how about you?
So for me, I've known for a long time that this is something I wanted to do. I learned as a teenager that at some point in my life, I wanted to give the gift of life to someone else. So yeah, so I had my two boys, both relatively easy pregnancies. And, I knew that this was the time in my life that I wanted to just give that gift. And, I didn't desire for any more children of my own. And because those had been such easy things for me to kind of go through, well, pregnancy, there's always something. But it's finally been something that I could actually accomplish and do. A couple that I carried for, they were in Argentina, and they have the cutest little baby girl, which I will share with you guys later. But yeah, I couldn't be any happier for the experience that I had. We were going to do a sibling journey, and that kind of didn't pan out for us. And so that kind of got the ball rolling for surrogacy journey number 2, which I'm currently on. And this time I'm doing local parents so that we can have a little bit more communication and contact with each other.
Excellent. Thank you, Sol. So here at FSC, Family Source Consultants, as you ladies know, we have many ways to get support. We have our private Facebook group. We have our monthly Zooms that we started when COVID took off. We have our in-person meetings. We have transfer groups that we set up every month. How about you talk to me a little bit about which options you utilized and whatever you want to tell me about them. I'll just keep going with Catherine, Delana, Sol.
I loved all of the options and all of the ways, because sometimes it was nice to scroll through the Facebook group and either search for something or look for experience that someone else had been through, and just to be able to post, whether it was the middle of the night or a random time in the morning, and someone would respond because usually someone else was up too. So I really liked the flexibility and the kind of searching function and historical reference on the Facebook page. But there's nothing like that connection, whether it's via text or via phone call, from your case manager and people like Denise, just from Family Source, that have an interest and a care for how your process is going and any issues you might be having, any questions. So I would say I kind of utilized all of the ways. When I initially or when I was going through my first journey, we had an in-person group here in Minneapolis that I took advantage of, and that face-to-face connection was really nice. With COVID obviously turning to the Zoom, although it wasn't the in-person option or opportunity, it was really nice because you got to know people from all over the country. So, pros and cons to that, but I really appreciated those and tried to make it on the Zoom calls whenever I could, just because this is it's a unique world. It's a unique group, and it's not like your BFF can usually answer any questions you might have or understand what you're going through, because odds are they're probably not experiencing the same thing. So it's important. It's a really tight-knit group. And again, nice that you can take out of it whatever you want and participate as much or as little as you'd like.
Absolutely. And I have to agree with you in regards to the Zoom. I kind of wish I would have started doing that sooner, because it really gave me an opportunity to have FaceTime with people, let's say, that are in California, that aren't using a fertility center in Chicago, that I otherwise would never really get the opportunity to meet. And I've gotten close to quite a few people who aren't here. And without Zoom, that wouldn't have happened. So I agree with you there. Delina, can you tell us about your experience?
Well, as a surrogate, usually the first question people ask you is, how are you going to give up the baby? And so I always explain, it wasn't, it's the baby belongs to the family, but the big thing is that they have support through the surrogacy agency. So you're in a Facebook group and you have the virtual meetings and you get to know the fellow surrogates. So you're not surprised, it's something that you're kind of being coached through the process the whole time. And that if you have any questions or concerns at any time, if I did have worries about that, I could always ask my fellow surrogates. And so that's really how I handled that question, was to say, we have a lot of support in the support groups. And, even sometimes the best meetings were when we were all as surrogates speaking, and we weren't even talking about surrogacy, but just having this kind of common bond that we understand. As Catherine mentioned, you can't necessarily always ask or connect with your friends on some of these issues. So this way you have this whole group of friendships that they may live in different parts of the US.
Absolutely. Thank you. Sol, tell us about your experience. I love that I get to see you on a regular basis since you're so close to me.
Yes. I'll say I love you, Denise. I do.
I love you too, Sol.
Denise has pulled me through a lot. Being a surrogate during a pandemic was quite difficult and some really isolating. My parents were not from the US, so they're Argentina. And so not having to have that contact with them and having Denise here instead to kind of be my support and my cheerleader throughout the whole process was really meaningful to me. And so like the ladies have said, I sort of have utilized most outlets. I started with the Facebook group, again, did the whole searching things because, a lot of times for me, I always like to research. So if it's a question that I have in my mind, I see if someone else has already asked it. And there's tons of things that people have been through that I haven't been through personally and their journeys. And, just kind of brings an awareness of what a journey can entail. So I really appreciate having this forum where I could just kind of see into other surrogates' lives and kind of what that entails. I really, really appreciated the in-person. And that's kind of, for me, was the best and has been the best because I still go to those. Not only does it give me the opportunity to commune with other surrogates, but, it gives me a time to kind of get away from the household and just to kind of be a person, among other like individuals, which I, need every once and again. You need a time to refuel yourself. So, I've reached out to Denise. I have done the Facebook group. I have now we're doing the transfer group. So I've been a part of a few of those. And it's really great to have people that kind of walk along with you side by side throughout your journey. And you have so many people just cheering you on, and that's a great feeling to just know that you have so many people just supporting you from all over the place.
So, Sol, I'm glad you mentioned the transfer groups because that leads me to my next question. So I'm just going to let you continue on and then I'll go back. So you did participate in transfer groups. Tell me about that and how you found that beneficial.
So I've been part of a few transfer groups. I've had one transfer that was postponed, and I had another one that ended up being a chemical pregnancy. So I have been a part of a few of them, and I have followed along with the journey of those that I have been paired with for those. But it's nice because you guys are all on the same page. You guys are all at the same point in your journey. So you guys are comparing and contrasting. What are you guys feeling and what's going on in that moment? More so than that, you guys are, bonded by this whole thing where you guys know that you guys are going to be carrying on with each other. So yeah, it is a tighter knit group than just like that Facebook group, because everyone's at different pages. So I kind of like the intimacy that these groups have provided to me.
So I will clarify too. I should have done that before I asked the question. Just to clarify what a transfer group is, as opposed to our regular Facebook group, it's a group of ladies that we know are all going to be transferring, let's say in July. And I'll put a post out on our Facebook group and say, okay, we have a lot of July transfers. Who wants to be part of our July transfer group? And typically this group of surrogates will create their own text thread or Facebook message thread or even their own Facebook group, because they are all kind of, like Sol said, all the timing is relatively the same. You're all going to be having a transfer. You're all going to be going through monitoring appointments. You're all going to be going through, beta appointments and ultrasound. So it's kind of more of a group of, and it's usually, let's call it 5, 6, maybe 7 girls that just stay in contact with each other more often, sometimes on a daily basis or multiple times a day. So just a little bit more fine-tuned, let's call it. Delana, I know you participated in a transfer group, so tell me about yours and why you loved it.
Yeah, so I was in a transfer group, and as Sol mentioned, sometimes within your transfer group, some pregnancies do not take, or people have chemical pregnancies. So in my transfer group, there were a couple that had, had the original transfer and it was successful. And then there was about 3 of us that were pushed back due to contract timing or other various things. So it was an interesting group because we had people delivering, for quite a few months out. But the good thing about that was we really bonded and connected. We had a WhatsApp chat that we decided to create, and we would message each other, yes, multiple times a day, sometimes, just once a day, depending on. But it was really good because right when, we were in the thick of having questions, we could ask. And because, like with my shots, I knew that other people in the group, in my transfer group, had done it just the month before me. I could ask, like, hey, did you get a reaction? And they knew and they understood. And you can always ask in the Facebook group, but sometimes you want that more intimate connection of just asking 1 or 2 people. And so that's really how that's been very helpful. And then even we had, for one of us, when I started, one of us was starting shots and they were very nervous. So we all jumped on a video chat and kind of cheered her on. And so then when I started, I did that too. And then with another, so for 3 of us, we like jumped on the call for the first shot. And that was really a special moment that I'll always keep with me. So
that's so awesome. I love that, Delana. Catherine, I don't think we had transfer groups going when you were starting.
Not my first surrogacy, but my second journey, I was a part of a group, and it was just nice. It was, touch base, and everyone kind of was on the same page and on the same timeline. So it was just, whether it was someone saying, oh my gosh, I'm doing it next week and you're doing it today, let me know how it goes, because they're anxious, or, oh my gosh, I just got through that, congrats, I'm so glad that you're okay, whatever it is. Though everyone gets it, like all the surrogates get it because they've either been there or know they're heading there, but there's something about that timing of it just happened or I'm about to do it that you just click, and it's just a little, again, it's just more of that intimate group, and that they're your, in the moment cheerleaders.
Absolutely. I feel like the anticipation of those shots is far worse than the actual shot itself. But you get those needles and you're like, whoa. But it's really not as bad as it looks. At least I don't think it's as bad as it looks. So I know you were all in our Facebook group. So tell me what your favorite part about our private Facebook group is. Catherine?
It's a toss up between bump day, which is Wednesday, and
Yeah.
everyone shares a picture of their bumps, which is super fun to see and see everyone progress. I don't know, it's everyone cheering each other on, and then also having that option to kind of search for, historical reference. Like, I feel like everyone always says, okay, what do I need to pack? Is it okay to, if I have to travel for my transfer, how do I pack the needles? How do I pack my shots? Like, is it okay? And you can either ask, because, we're all asking the same things, or you can just search quick and just see who's commented in the past or who had tips and tricks of what to bring to the hospital, because that's always asked. So I think it's just having that reference, and that, anyone who's available can respond. And but yeah, bump day is pretty fun.
I agree with you. Bump day is one of my favorite days of the week. And, on a different note too, one of the other things I love about our group is that, let's be honest, there are good and there are bad times in surrogacy journeys, and it doesn't always go perfectly for everybody. And there's that real, it's a reality, and we all understand that. And I just really love that when somebody posts something about having a hard time in our group, that I feel the love through the screen as I'm reading it. Like, everybody is cheering them on, and oh my gosh, let me know if you need to talk. And I feel like it's so genuine, and it is, and I really, really love that about that group, is that we are there. All those ladies are there, good, bad, ugly, whatever, cheering everybody on. And there's no negativity, there's no drama. And I love that about our group. Delana, what are some of your favorite things about our group?
Well, okay, this is kind of silly, but every once in a while I'll be driving around town, and all of a sudden I'll think about, oh, this morning I saw that Soul is going to her transfer, or that whoever in the group is at the airport now going to their transfer for tomorrow, and I'll think about them. And I just think that's so neat. And there'll be times when someone has had the baby delivered, and then other surrogates will say, oh, I was just thinking, I was wondering today how you were doing. And so it's like, it's this odd mix of support, even if you're not super close with them, to be thinking, oh, wow, I know that they're at the airport right now, and I remember how that felt. And so it's kind of like always having that in the back of your mind, of these fellow surrogate sisters that are out there getting ready to get to the hospital to have the baby. And it's really great.
That's awesome. I completely agree with you. And sometimes too, if I'm out shopping or something and I see something that's a pineapple, I'm like, oh, I got to take a picture of that and put it in the group. See, you guys are always with me. So many pineapple things out there. So tell me what your favorite part about our group is.
Like I said, I'm kind of more behind the scenes kind of person generally. So my favorite part is just watching everyone's journey. I just love just seeing where people start and where they end and where they are. It's really amazing to kind of just see everyone's journey unfolds, and how different maybe that could be from everyone else's. And just kind of be a support to everyone. It's an amazing supportive group, and I like that we can all be part of this community together, and we all have that same likeness. I do often use the search feature, which is great, but I'm on my second journey, so a little bit of a veteran, so I know a lot of the stuff there. But yeah, I love seeing the new surrogates come in and see their enthusiasm. I like seeing our old veterans and seeing where they are in their second journeys, and it's just amazing. I just love being around you women.
I completely agree with you.
Denise,
everything you said.
Denise, I'm glad you pointed out though that like it's not all, sunshine and roses, and that it's a really safe space
Yes.
to, whether it's just a vent or why is this happening, or have you guys ever experienced this, like it doesn't feel right, or whatever it is. And inevitably someone's been through it, or someone gets it, or someone understands, if not multiple. So it is a really safe space for the good and the bad and everything in between. So I'm glad you mentioned that too. It's real. It's real.
Safe space is a great way to explain it.
Absolutely. Like there is no dumb question. There is no wrong thing to post, everyone has that kind of freedom to kind of speak and say their truth of what they're going through, what they're feeling, especially when you see some people that you could tell in their messages, just the depth of the emotions that they're going through and the support that they need and the support that they are receiving from the group. And it's powerful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have any of you made friends with any of the surrogates you've met through FSC? Delana, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I did. And even so, when I went for my transfer, I had to go to another state, and by chance it was in an area that a fellow surrogate was there, and then another potential surrogate is someone who I became friends with who was a surrogate as well. Even though it didn't work out for them, I still got to become friends with both of them. I went out to dinner. And then another fellow surrogate in the Chicago area, when I would go up to the support meetings, I'd get to meet up with her as well. So that was always really great too, that meeting these fellow surrogate sisters, or we even called our transfer group Sisters at Heart. And I think that's so true. I'm always going to have those relationships with those people. And and I even went camping to Indiana so I could meet up with another fellow surrogate as well. So so that was really great. Yeah.
That's so great. Sol, how about you?
Well, I wouldn't say that like I've hung out with anyone outside of like our general meetings, but I feel like this closeness and bond with several ladies that I see consistently, on there, and occasionally we'll kind of message each other, and I do feel like every time I go to the in-person meeting, it's like being around family. That's the feeling I get when I'm around you guys. So, I don't feel like it's awkward. And I'm always telling Denise, I'm an awkward person. I don't carry conversations well. She's like, you're ridiculous. It's because it's easy with you guys. You guys make it abundantly easy to just be comfortable and feel like, I'm safe and I'm among friends and family,
Absolutely. Well, I love that you feel that way, Sol, because I love seeing you. For sure. Catherine, how about you? Did you make friends?
Yeah, especially when we were doing the in-person meetups here in Minnesota. And I'm still, friends, more so probably acquaintances, but I've seen a few of them, and I've also brought friends in to become surrogates. And so they were friends before this, but even more so, just different added bond now. But anytime, like Sol said, it's like anytime you see someone in the group, whether it's on Zoom or on a random Facebook post or something, it does feel like family, or there's just that immediate comfort level and bond of, what they're going through, or what they've been through, and you get it. That's special.
And everyone starts feeling very familiar. Start learning backgrounds and about their family and all sorts of things, which is really awesome too. We are almost ready to conclude our webinar, so I am going to leave with one final question. What advice would you give to someone who is thinking of becoming a surrogate? Who wants to go first? Catherine?
Sure. I think just ask all the questions, and then ask what questions you're not asking. People who have been surrogates will tell you all the things that they asked at the beginning and what they wish they'd asked. They'll tell you. So don't be afraid to ask. And personally, I don't feel like any question is inappropriate as long as you're being thoughtful in how you're asking it. Because yes, some things get awkward, but in general, if you're sincerely curious about it, ask the questions, because that's the only way you really understand. I didn't have anyone that was close that I could ask, so I literally filled out the intake form on the website, and then I waited for my like meet and greet or whatever with the initial consultant or whoever from Family Source, and I asked her all the questions because I didn't have anyone else to ask. So that's how I did it. Check out the website, dig the website.
Absolutely. Good advice. Good advice. Delina, what is your advice?
Well, I guess for me, I think it's always just important to, get connected somehow. Like we all said, everyone has a different level. So if you're more comfortable speaking in smaller groups, the transfer group is a really good option. If you're not so much as, Zoom meeting person, well, then just be interactive in the group. But some way that when you are having a rough time or having a rough day, that you do feel comfortable, you can speak up through the support groups and ask those, share those worries or concerns with your fellow surrogates, because they'll be there to support you.
Thank you, Delina. So what advice would you give?
Aside from like asking a whole bunch of questions, I would say really know what you want in the journey. What are your desires? What is the parents that you would like to carry for? Because you have to think about yourself in the journey that you want and what you would see yourself having. You don't have to pick the first set of parents that come your way, and I think that's very important, because it's a long process. It's not something that's quick. We're always talking about the fact that it's hurry up and wait. So you have that process where you're trying to get everything done really quickly, and then there's so much time that happens in between the next thing. And so it's something that you're really going to be in for quite a amount of time, and you're going to have a relationship with the parents that you're choosing. So you want to make sure that your views and their views kind of are in line with your values and the journey that you would like to see yourself on. In addition to that, and it's not something that people always talk about, is like, make sure that you're done with your family, because fertility treatments can inhibit you having children of your own at some point. With any pregnancy, there's always a risk. And so knowing that going in, just make sure that it's the journey that you would see yourself having, that you're doing yourself as much justice, because there's someone out there that's for you, that's the right match, that's the right fit. And so you don't have to compromise that just because you want to help somebody.
That is excellent, excellent advice, Sol. You ladies are totally invested in your journeys and the journeys of the other surrogates that you help share and support on in our group and in all of our forums. And I am so appreciative that you were, open-minded enough to join us today and answer some of these questions, and that you continue to be active in our groups. I think, having those delivered surrogates with the experience that you all have is, can't be measured. It's so valuable to all the new girls that are just starting out on their journeys. So I wanted to thank you for joining me today. And I just love you girls like crazy. So thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having us, Denise.
Thank you. Good luck on Friday, Sol.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.